Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So folks, this is going to be one of those episodes that I'm really going to enjoy, because if there's one thing I really love, is when a big shot, big time, top NFL analyst admits when they were wrong about the Detroit Lions. When they admit that yes, they did not have a right take. It does not happen very often, either because one, analysts are a proud bunch and they don't want to admit they're wrong, or either because even if they know that they were proven wrong, they're not willing to acknowledge it. Again, it's a pride factor. But finally, today, we're going to talk about one of those top NFL analysts that admitted that they were wrong. Which, again, the thumbnail image would tell you exactly what NFL analysts we're talking about. We're talking about Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd is one of the biggest names when it comes to NFL analysts. He's honestly one of the biggest sports analysts that's in the business. Talks about damn near everything. Well, in a recent podcast on his actual other podcast, other than, The Herd, his actual YouTube podcast, Colin Cowherd was talking about the recent release about the top 10 NFL quarterbacks that have been voted on by NFL coaches, GMs, executives, the whole 9 yards, which obviously meant that Jared Goff was in the list. And you would think that because talking about the quarterbacks that this would have something to do with Jared Goff, but it does not. In fact, what this has to do with is what he had to say about the head coach, Dan Campbell, and about the Detroit Lions organization. That is what is particularly surprising. That is what is particularly enticing here. So what did Colin Cowherd say? There were 3 specific quotes that we're going to go over here. The first quote that Cowherd specifically said was this. He said, No, I was wrong about Dan Campbell. I thought he was a bit of a meathead. My take was I don't know if he's smart enough. The league is getting really smart, really clever offensively, and he's a bit of a rah-rah guy. But you know what? It's so authentic. He is so passionate, and it's so authentic, and I think the players can feel that authenticity, and they buy into him. Okay, I'm just going to say this right now. It's about damn time Colin Cowherd actually said this. It's about damn time he actually recognized and acknowledged it. It only took him 4 years to admit that he was wrong. But by God, he finally did. Because again, I remember when Dan Campbell first got hired, you had guys like Stephen A. Smith, you had guys like Colin Cowherd that were all saying the exact same thing. This guy is way too rah-rah, this guy's a meathead, he's not smart enough, he's not going to last as a head coach. The Lions will be looking for a new guy within a year or two. Well, here we are 4 years later, and that complete take, that complete idea has been completely proven wrong. And the fact that Colin Cowherd finally has realized what we Lions fans have known all along and what the players have shown on the field and have expressed with their words since day one of Campbell being the Lions head coach, it's so sweet to hear. So yeah, it definitely took him damn long enough to get to the point. But as the saying also goes, better late than never. It's really freaking awesome to finally hear this guy to actually admit that, you know what, I got it wrong about Dan Campbell. I got Dan Campbell wrong, not only in terms of the type of coach that he is, but also how the players are going to react to him, how the players are going to buy into him. And that is something that, like I said, us Lions fans have known since day one of him becoming the head coach of the Lions. But as I also said earlier, there are 2 other quotes that we have to talk about, because Colin Cowherd did not just stop there. He didn't just express praise with Dan Campbell. He also talked about the Lions organization. He specifically talked about the Lions front office. And this is what he had to say. Cowherd said, that's a front office that doesn't go for flash. Prime example, a couple years ago, they get an inside linebacker and running back. They're getting the best players available. This year, they went heavy on interior offensive linemen. It's got a Rams feel to it. That's where he came from, Brad Holmes. He came from Los Angeles. They just draft really good players. Again, this is something that us Lions fans have known for years. If there's one thing Brad Holmes has definitely proven to the NFL, he knows how to draft well. He knows how to find good talent. He knows how to do his job almost better than anybody when it comes to exploiting the NFL draft. He's done it literally almost every single year. The reason I say almost is because we haven't seen what's going to come from the current draft class that we just had. But if you take a look at every other draft class that he has had, there's always been something from that draft class that either has shown promise or has definitely proven itself already out on the field. And again, the fact that Cowherd finally has gotten on the same page with Lions fans and recognizes how Campbell and Holmes as a front office duo go for the best player available, it is important because, again, one of the things that I've talked about expressly in my podcasts in the past is that when it comes to a lot of these teams, a lot of these GMs, a lot of these front offices, they will sometimes forego getting the best player that is actually on the board for going after somebody that's a big name, someone that's flashy, somebody that is going to energize the fan base. But that's not what the Detroit Lions do. That is especially not what Campbell and Holmes do. They go for who is the best player, not necessarily who everybody else thinks is the best pick for them. They go for who is the actual best player for them, not only in terms of, culture fit, in terms of football ethics, football morals, in terms of talent. They take a look at everything. They don't deal in nonsense. They don't deal in flash. They deal 100% in good, honest-to-goodness football substance. They want football players. They do not want prima donnas. They do not want a-holes. They want guys that are here to work hard and that are going to do their job. And that is why the Lions have facilitated such the massive turnaround that they have so quickly, so successfully, and have sustained it. Because again, it'd be one thing if the Lions had done this, over a year or something and it petered out. But the Lions have done this turnaround over 4 years and they have gotten better and have continued to sustain their success every single year. And in a league like the NFL where it is hard to sustain success, that is something that is worth noting. Now, the final thing that Colin Cowherd acknowledged was the actual culture of the Detroit Lions. So we have gone from Dan Campbell specifically, we have now gone to the front office, which is referring to Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Now we're talking about the culture that Campbell has built here in Detroit, that Campbell has nurtured, that Campbell has made into its own mantra, the grit culture. Again, this is an ideology, this is a mantra that everyone in Detroit understands, that everyone that plays for the Lions gets, and they follow it 100% without question. Because if you're going to play for the Lions, you have to understand what it means to be gritty. You have to understand what it means to play for Dan Campbell. There is an understanding there that you will not find pretty much almost anywhere else. So, when we take a look at what Colin Cowherd had to specifically say about the culture that Campbell and Holmes have built and how it has also been an integral part to the Lions' turnaround, again, we are noticing, we are seeing how Cowherd has finally gotten on the same damn page. He finally is recognizing, he's finally realizing what us Lions fans have known for years. Because this is exactly what Cowherd had to say about the Detroit Lions culture. He said this. He said, Detroit, no head cases, good guys. Like all the Lions guys, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, and Jared Goff, and Penei Sewell. No a-holes. Like really, really good guys. there are people in this league that I think Dan Campbell has benefited from that, being a really good GM, but he deserves credit, Again, what we're noticing there, what we are seeing there from Colin Cowherd is that he is recognizing that the culture that the Lions have built in Detroit is one that is authentic. It is genuine to not only the city, but specifically to Dan Campbell. Again, one of the things that has always been a problem in Detroit for the longest time is actually building and defining a culture that is genuine and authentic to the city and to the team of Detroit, which is the Lions. We have tried multiple times to do the copy and paste method, whether it was with the 49ers, whether it was with the Colts, whether it was with the Patriots. Every single time it failed, every single time it was rejected, it never stuck because it was not authentic to our actual city, to our actual culture. We were trying to transplant something from somewhere else. Dan Campbell recognized that that was not going to work. He had to build something that was authentic and genuine to Detroit. And that's exactly what he did. And because of that, like Cowherd noted, the Lions don't have any head cases. They don't have any a-holes for players. They don't have an Aaron Rodgers. They don't have prima donnas that are all about themselves and have to make all the money in the world. They have guys like, as he stated, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, all of these guys that are good, honest, great team players. These are guys that are all about having good football ethics. They're all about having good football morals. They're not getting in trouble with the law. They're not having brushes with the law. They're not having issues with the league office. These are guys that are team-oriented, and they're all about, hey, team comes first, not the individual. And because of that, because of what Campbell and Holmes have instilled, they now have a culture, they now have a team that has a desire that they not only want good people overall, and I'm not just talking about Campbell and Holmes, I'm talking about the actual players. The players understand it. The players have bought into this. They want good people overall that are also good football players. They don't want guys that are not going to fit their locker room culture. They're not going to want guys that are all about themselves. They want guys that are good players, good people in every sense of the word. And it is because of that that the Lions have become a Super Bowl contender and have one of the best organizations, one of the best teams and best cultures in the NFL because they did it the right way. They did it the hard way. They built it from the ground up. They developed something original and they have done everything correctly, especially when everybody and their brother from the very beginning wanted to say, you know what, this isn't going to work. This is not going to be successful. It's going to fail like it always does. And that is specifically pointing the finger back at Colin Cowherd. But it's not just him. There's also other guys like Nick Wright, like Stephen A. Smith, and a couple of other people that have opened their soup kitchen and have spoken from a place of ignorance because they don't know, because they're not invested in the Lions. They are invested in talking about everything rather than one singular topic. But if they actually had taken the time from the very beginning to actually notice what was going on in Detroit, they would have found out much sooner rather than later that, hey, what's actually being done in Detroit? It's going to work. It's going to have success. Sure, it might have been a little bumpy in the beginning, but let me tell you something. Name me a time, name me a specific situation where, hey, you know what? When something that is actually good, that is sustainable, didn't have bumpy origins, didn't have a bit of a bumpy startup. It takes time to get things going. But hey, you know what? After the first year and a half, the Lions have been doing nothing but climbing that mountain, and they're about to plant their flag on top of that mountain. That is what Colin Cowherd is noting here. That is what he's finally recognizing. Yeah, he waited until the Lions got to the damn near mountaintop. But you know what? It's better that he actually is recognizing it now, that he's admitting that he's wrong, rather than saying, no, you know what, I'm not going to admit it, I'm not going to say anything, I'm just going to continue to go on as I always have. Because a lot of NFL analysts will do that. A lot of NFL analysts, a lot of media analysts, sports analysts, however you want to call them, they are so damn prideful that they will not admit when they're wrong. So I will give Cowherd kudos for actually finally admitting that, yeah, I got it wrong. Because you know what? It takes a bigger individual to admit when they're wrong rather than continue with the same duplicitous lie, because you know what? That's easier to do. It takes someone bigger to actually say, you know what? No, I got it wrong. I'm going to reverse course here. And the fact that Cowherd actually did that, that is a big thing, because it now means that, hey, you know what? If Colin Cowherd was wrong about that, there's a lot of other things he could be wrong about. There's a lot of other things that other analysts could be wrong about, like a Stephen A. Smith, like a Nick Wright, whether it's about the Lions in general, whether it's about Jared Goff, whether it's about the defense, whether it's about the coaches, whatever have you. It proves that nobody is 100% right all the damn time. It proves that, hey, just because XY person said this does not mean that's 100% factual. There are other ways to take a look at things. And if you hang in there long enough, as I have, as the Lions fandom has, eventually the truth will come out. Eventually the light will shine upon what is actually happening, the good work that is being done, and eventually you will get recognized. So yes, it took Colin Cowherd a long damn time to finally recognize this. But again, as I said earlier, better late than never. But I just wanted to talk about this because, funny enough of all things, I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw this and I was like, oh, this is an awesome story, because I looked everywhere else. I could not find this. I actually had to scroll in freaking, Colin Cowherd's podcast videos to actually make sure that this was something that really happened. And it was something that was actually recent. But the fact that nobody's talking about this, really big deal. Because it shows, like I said, that, hey, if Colin Cowherd got it wrong, there's a lot of other people that got it wrong. And let me tell you something. When everybody and their brother's wanting to say, oh, the Lions are going to fall off a cliff, they're not going to be as successful this year, maybe their Super Bowl window is closing, let me tell you something. If they were wrong about this, they can definitely be wrong about that. And I believe 100% that they are. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this. I hope you enjoyed the content, and having said that, I want to say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you did indeed enjoy the content, I want to highly encourage y'all to subscribe if you've not done so in the past. But I also want to highly encourage y'all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. I hope y'all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.